So today is January 1st of 2023, and I decided to just play around a little bit with some of my papers, and I really enjoy crafting, and I'm not an expert at it. I'm still learning, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I've learned a lot from some wonderful people watching them over the last couple of years, but I decided I would just kind of play around and see what it's all about. So the project that I'm looking at is using Stamperia, a paper pack called Hortensia. And so I had a small 8x8 paper pack for a while just because I like the colors and such. And then I collected a few more things. And so I'm sitting here looking at all of the Hortensia papers that I've gathered. And so I want to show you those things. And last night I looked through some different paper that I've collected over the last couple of years and looked for things that I thought might look good in a journal made from this. And so I just thought I would share some of this with you. I don't know if you're new to crafting, new to junk journals, but you might be like me and kind of, watched a lot of YouTube, but have done a few little projects here and there, which I certainly have, but this is a bigger one, and just kind of trying to figure it out as I go here. So anyway, I'll show you Hortensia first. I'll show you, this is the Stamperia, not sure how you pronounce that, Hortensia paper pack. This is the 12x12, and it is really beautiful, the purple, but it's kind of a pinky purple, and it's really beautiful. And then you can kind of look inside of it and you see what comes in it. Just lovely paper. Some cards here that they already have for you, and just looking through that, you see this is kind of just a nice compilation of colors. And I absolutely love this. I just love this lady with her hydrangea in her hair. And hydrangea, I looked it up, is another word for hortensia. And then we see here another, and then another beautiful lady with butterflies and hortensia, hydrangea as it is. And other pages, and so you see the beautiful color scheme here that we have, and then they've really come up with some unique ways to use all of those colors. I love the mosaic look here to these tiles, and bringing in some birds. Again, not as many elements on this as far as birds and butterflies and such, but staying with that color scheme and just a beautiful design. This one I love as well. It's almost like you're looking through a glass, and seeing these plants here further away, and then all of the loveliness around it. Another different but coordinating design. And then this page, memories. And you see all of those beautiful hydrangeas around it. More on the blue side. And then some tags that they've already put together for you. One design more on the green. And some additional fuzzy cuts that you can use for the pack. So this is the Hortensia 12x12. And it's just really beautiful. The other things that I have gathered to have as something to choose from, this is that original Hortensia paper pack that I had, the 8x8, the smaller. And it is the same designs as what I just showed you in the 12x12, but it's on a smaller scale. So you'll see there's, these are those cards. So actually, let me show you the difference. So in the 12x12, you see the cards this size. In the 8x8, it's the same card, but the scale is different. So depending on what kind of project you're working on, that might change which of these two paper packs you would use. Of course, that's, related to what your investment's going to be on your project. And so you may need the 12 by 12, you may need the 8 by 8, you may need both. I've actually seen some finished journals that were just gorgeous, that the person, the designer, had used multiple packs of both of these. So I'm not going that far, but I do have these just because I wanted to understand the difference in the smaller pack and the larger pack. So again, this one it's going to have the same designs, but on a smaller scale. So you see all the same things that we looked at in the 12 by 12 paper pack. And the other thing to consider is you might really love this image of this lady, the design of that. But if you're making a smaller journal, you would not want the larger 12 by 12 for that particular component, because it would be too big perhaps for the journal that you're creating. So you really have to think about what you're going to be creating to determine which would be best for you and with the least amount of waste. So we definitely want to try to use everything up in the paper pack. The other things that I have collected for this is that I did get the chipboard items, and so that came in a little plastic pack, and it was called Chipboard for Hortensia, and it has elements from the pack that are a thicker, almost cardboard and type of material. And so the colors, obviously, they're going to coordinate. So lots of beautiful things. This is the clock. This is one of the beautiful ladies. Again, the back is plain. It's meant that you're going to glue that onto something. There are little chipboard pieces of sayings that, again, are color coordinated. And this one says, "Every flower blooms in its own time." So there are many of those in the chipboard pack for you. I like this one. Journaling. Dream big. And then there are other things like that you see throughout the design, like this is a dragonfly, so the printed paper has a dragonfly on it. It also has a flower and butterflies, and so the chipboard pack has a lot of those different things, and I'm not going to show you everything that's in the chipboard pack, but again, it's quite a variety, and just obviously the coloring is going to coordinate very well. And it's really the fun part of this is seeing everything that's available, kind of collecting all of those things, laying them out, looking through them. And then, what I'm finding now, the hard part is, what am I going to do with all of them? I love the colors. I love the hortensia and hydrangea. I love hydrangea flowers, so I was attracted to it for that and for the colors. And of course, I love butterflies, and here's some chipboard butterflies. So again, all of those things you can purchase, and then it's, what am I going to do with them? So I'm still trying to figure that out. The first thing that I did come to a conclusion is that I'm going to make a junk journal. And so I have the paper packs. I will tell you that the Stamperia paper is a thicker paper. So you have to keep that in mind when you think about what you're going to do with it. And so for the actual pages of the journal, I'm looking for things that are a little bit thinner than that are going to turn easily, that'll be easy to write on. And I'm looking more at the Hortensia paper packs and the chipboard as things I'm going to use to embellish and decorate the journal. So I was looking through a lot of papers. This is the other beautiful lady on the chipboard. So I was kind of playing with her a little bit. And things that I found, and I will tell you that this paper has come from a lot of different places. I have gotten it from different folks on Etsy who do dyeing of paper, coffee dyed paper, tea dyed paper, and all of the other lovely colors that they've come up with for eco dyeing and such. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to tell you where I got everything here, but I am going to point out a couple of places where I've gotten them, and I just really love. For example, inked paper art is one, and what I got from inked paper art, that's Kate Marshall, was this package. And I bought this a while back, and I've just kind of had it in my stash. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And it was a coordinated pack. You can start to see there's ribbon. There are a couple of doilies. There's a tag. There's a card, an envelope. And then I have a number of pages in here that coordinate the same color of dye. And it just goes perfectly with Hortensia. And so that as I said, I was looking through my stash to see what do I have that would go with this for the pages of the journal. And then there was that wonderful pack from Inked Paper Art, Kate Marshall. And I said, that will be perfect. So I'm going to use that whole pack, the kit of that beautiful coloring of lace and doilies, etc. And then I was looking through all the other papers that I have, and I came across this one. I'm not sure where I got this, but that doily from the pack I just showed you, look how beautiful that is. So if you had a journal and this was kind of the center of it, I thought, you know, that looks really pretty. And then I thought, well, how about if this beautiful lady was there? So, you know, I'm kind of almost like a little puzzle. I'm kind of playing around with these pieces to see, you know, what does it look like if I put her on this side and I put this journaling chipboard on the other side, and what would it look like with a little lace here or there? And so I'm really kind of playing with it right now. Just, you know, seeing what comes to mind. But I did go through and look for papers that could go in the journal. And so knowing that I've seen some of my favorite YouTubers, for instance, Gail Agostinelli, who I absolutely have loved watching many days over the last couple of years. She puts 3 signatures in her journals. And so when she's pulling paper to go into her new journal, she will pick 3 of different things, 1 for each of the signatures. And the signature is in a booklet. It's kind of the sections. Okay, so there would be 3 sections in the journal, and in each of those sections, I want to put one of these pink colored papers. All right, so I've got 3 of those. I was looking through, and I have other things. So this is actually something that I made using distress ink and spray ink and playing around, and I just kept it, and it blends. It blends with the coloring very nicely, and so I decided that would be one. And I only had one of those. It's a one of a kind, so I pulled out a couple of other colored papers to go in the other signatures. This is the paper that I got from Inked Paper Art in that beautiful kit. And if you see that it's got the blue, and then it's kind of got that purple spray on the blue, just lovely paper. 3 of those. Then I have some standard purple. And I've got 3 purples. You know, they're all a little different shade because of the way they're dyed, and that's what makes them so wonderful. Same here with this pretty pink. 3 of those. And then this is a little darker, but it does match very nicely, coordinates very nicely. And you know, you don't want everything to be the exact color. You want to have things coordinate, but sometimes you need something dark to highlight what's light, and etc., those kind of things. A light blue. Then I had some coloring book pages that, you know, these are the actual coloring book pages, and I took the book apart, and I did this, might have been a year ago, and just have been, you know, had those in my stash. And so these were coloring book images, and I coffee dyed them myself. So I'm not a coffee dye expert. You know, you can get very technical with it, but the bottom line is you take some paper and you pour some coffee over it, and then you let it dry. And how you do those steps determines what it's going to look like. But I liked these designs, and so I looked for things I thought would look nice in the Hortensia journal. And so those will go in the journal side like that to fold. And I've got 3 of those. This is tea-dyed paper that I got from someone on Etsy. And that's a lighter. And you see it's got some streaks there. Kind of gives a little dimension. This is from another coloring book. You know, there are lots of those coloring books out. So you go to a thrift store or an estate sale or something like that, you might see those. You can pick those up pretty inexpensively and then come home and you can take it apart and pick out the pages that you like and then coffee dye them or tea dye them or some other eco dye. You can look that up on YouTube as well to see how to do that. And these are from one that had Christian Bible verses, which I absolutely love. And this, I pulled out a few that really spoke to me. One is, "Fear not, for I am with you." That's Isaiah 43:5. And I love that because I know that Christ is with me all the time and he gives me strength, whatever I may face. So that's one. This one is, "Your word is a lamp to my feet." Psalm 119:105. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path is the other part of that verse. And that's a great one as well. And beautiful. Just look at that with the swans and just, I think that'll look really nice with Hortensia. And the last one, my favorite psalm, is, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer." Psalm 18:2. Love, love, love this psalm. For folks who may be feeling that they have some enemies in their lives or some challenges, or they're being maybe feeling attacked in some way by the negativity. This psalm is one that for me has really given me strength and confidence that the Lord is with me wherever I go and whatever I face, and that he will defend me and be my deliverer. So Psalm 18:2 there. And I think those will just really be nice because I'm not sure if I'm going to give this journal away or if it might be my journal for 2023. So if it, it may be mine, and those are some of my favorite Bible verses. All right, so then just looking, I had a few digitals that I had purchased off of Etsy, and I had already printed these on coffee dyed paper. So I had taken plain paper, coffee dyed it, had it kind of sitting to the side. And then I bought some digitals. Those are digital files that you purchase on Etsy. You can usually get them from anywhere from $1 to $5 for it. And it gives you the digital file then that you can print. And so then I printed it on the coffee dyed paper. And I just was looking through my big stack of papers and I saw these and I thought, well, those colors would just be wonderful to go in the Hortensia journal. So I've got 3 of those, each one slightly different. Then I found a paper pack that I had for a while. Again, I got this at a thrift store, something like that. And this is handmade paper. And it has, you can even see, it has little plants that they had used. This is a petal of some kind, a few more petals. And so I thought, that's a little different shade of bluish purple, and that would be nice. It's also a little different size, so when it folds, it's a little bigger than some of the other coloring book pages and such. So there's nothing wrong with having pages different sizes in your journal. That's totally fine. So I've got 3 of those, and then this is something, sometimes you come across something, you're not sure why, but you kind of like it, and so you go find a little spot and you stick it in that little corner, and then one day you're like, well, now I know why I was keeping that. And so this was some gift wrap, and I'm not even sure where I got it. Actually, that's not what it is. This was drawer liner. So those rolls that, back in the 80s and 90s and after that too, people would do drawer liners in their dressers or cabinets and such. This was one, and I had taken it out of the dresser, and then I said, I think that I might be able to use that. And so I'm still thinking about it, but the colors, again, coordinate very nicely, bringing a little more of the green in, and just very interesting design there. So you just never know where you're going to find something that would go well in your junk journal. So those are the components that I've come up with so far. A couple of others that I would include, and these are just some different papers that I think I picked these up either at Michael's or Joann's or Hobby Lobby. And so you see these, they're very different than some of the papers, but if you kind of hold it up to the Hortensia, you see that it can coordinate nicely. And so, you know, again, you're not looking for something that matches perfectly. You're looking for something that builds on the color scheme of that paper pack and something that will coordinate. The other thing, and this is something I'm still learning, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but there is a special type of paper called rice paper. And rice paper is made from rice. And I'll just kind of hold this up so you can see it. Not sure if you can see all the way down into the paper itself, but there are some darker and lighter parts to this, and that's kind of what makes it rice paper, but it's also a little bit transparent. And so you can use this, as it notes here, with decoupage, where you're using it with some type of liquid medium, a liquid glue basically, and you could take this and put this on top of something. So if you had the front of your journal, you could potentially cut pieces of this and kind of put them across that with Mod Podge or some other liquid glue and do kind of a decoupage type of cover to your journal. Or you might just put it on a certain page, or you know, other things that you're going to put in the journal. But it does coordinate. It is Hortensia, and it is from Stamperia. So I saw that on Amazon, I think, and I said, well, I'm going to get that and play a little bit with that and see. And so you see that it is the larger version of this chipboard piece. So, you know, again, collecting these pieces from different places. Generally, I go to Etsy. That is my favorite place to get these things and kind of pull them together. So those are the things I've collected for this Hortensia journal. I would also share that, you know, then it's kind of looking at what are other things I kind of have laying around. These were some tag holders that I had created for something I was doing last year, and I didn't use all of them, so I went through. I had a big stack of different colors of those here. I said, well, are there any of those that I could use in this journal? So it's kind of a combination of the old and the new and bringing it together in a new way. And what I would share also is that, I guess, kind of prepping myself to figure out what am I going to do with this Hortensia journal, was that I looked at some YouTube videos, which I encourage you to do. It's really incredible when you see different people on YouTube and how they have taken the same paper packs and have designed things so uniquely, and how people bring their own taste, their own design, their own joys of what they like to do in their crafting, and to create something so unique and so beautiful. And each one quite beautiful in its own right. And so I look at those YouTube videos, but I think, well, I don't want to do necessarily any of those to make something identical or near identical, even if it's a tutorial. I think that what makes this journaling so much fun is that it's an expression of my own creativity. And while I've watched these videos and I've learned so much, it's more of taking those things as, in a sense, raw materials or ideas, and then putting them together in a way that's my own. And so I just really encourage you to do that. So, you know, no pressure. I think that's super important. You know, I'm not an artist. I'm not an expert crafter. I'm actually just a kind of a techie person in my day job. And I just found that this, really, I found this is just so enjoyable to me and a great way to spend some of my free time. So I encourage you to explore it a little bit yourself and see what you can come up with. So, next steps here, you know, what I've shown you today is kind of where I am. Trying to figure out, where do I go from here? Do I put the journal pages together or do I decide what I want the journal cover to look like and I work on that first? So, I'm kind of just, in a light, fun way, just kind of thinking through what the possibilities are. So, a lot of this creativity is that it's thinking about possibilities and how to combine things. Um, so I will let that be it for our time together today. And I'm going to give it a little more thought. And then I'm going to come back with some next steps. Wow, that sounds kind of like the project manager in me from my day job. But, those things we do in our day jobs do always come out in the not when we're not in our day job. It's who we are, and we each bring unique ways of approaching things. So, at any rate, have a wonderful day. See you soon.